This is CBC Vancouver News.
On Sunday, up to 2,000 people can enjoy a very family-friendly, fun environment.
As the Canucks start their Stanley Cup playoff series against the Edmonton Oilers, Vancouver's mayor says outdoor viewing parties are coming. Plus,
ICBC today is able to announce that they will provide a $110 rebate to drivers.
the Premier announces cash back for most BC motorists, the opposition calling it a pre-election political ploy. And
this is husband against wife, neighbor against neighbor, friend against friend.
Just get together on this and get things done.
fed up in Harrison Hot Springs. Some residents demand elected officials find a way to work together after more than a year of tension. Hello, I'm Janella Hamilton. Thanks for joining us. It was a comeback win for the hometown team tonight. The Vancouver Canucks are one step closer in their chase for the Stanley Cup.
Here comes Garland, fakes the shot, scores! Connor Garland!
That's Connor Garland with the game-winning goal in the Canucks' second-round matchup against the Edmonton Oilers. It was the last of 4 straight goals that erased a 4-1 deficit. Dakota Joshua started the scoring for the Canucks in the second period, followed by Elias Lindholm with a smart play from behind the net. JT Miller tipped in a slap pass halfway through the third period to pull Vancouver within 1. Then Nikita Zadorov tied the game with a slap shot.
I mean, there's a lot of belief in this group. You know, we've done it before in Nashville. I don't think anybody giving up, even when we were down 4-1.
But we felt good. You know, we like our game, and you know, we know if we play our game to our capabilities, we're a hard team to beat. But you know, same thing is they're a really hard team to beat. So it's going to be a long, hard-fought series.
Game 2 against the Oilers goes ahead Friday night at 7 o'clock. Vancouver's mayor has promised outdoor viewing parties are on the way. The gatherings will start later this week and could get bigger if the team makes it past the second round of the Stanley Cup playoffs. But as John Hernandez reports, the parties won't be held anywhere near Rogers Arena.
Hey, little buddy.
Ahead of a big playoff matchup, Vancouver Mayor Ken Sim took to social media Wednesday morning to tease the Oilers and promised Canucks fans they'll soon have a place to watch games outdoors.
We're also going to be activating a place called Oak Meadows Park on 37th and Oak on Sunday.
The city will host the viewing party here at Oak Meadows Park. The grass field said to accommodate about 2,000 people. The park is in a quiet residential neighborhood with no bars or pubs nearby. The closest SkyTrain station is more than a 15-minute walk away, making it a bit tricky to get to. Its relatively small location is by design. Following the riots in 2011, Vancouver police have advised against big playoff parties downtown.
These smaller, community-based, family-focused gatherings are more conducive to maintaining public safety, and it's more appropriate than having a larger one, like the one we've seen in years past downtown, which only created issues for us.
A move that's garnered the support of the downtown's business association, which doesn't want a destructive repeat.
2011 is still fresh in a lot of people's minds. I was there. I saw the beginning of the riot starting to occur.
Diehard fans like podcaster Tej Dhaliwal are also understandable.
It makes perfect sense why we would be apprehensive. It's been a long road to get to this point.
And the parties could get bigger. There's plans for a 6,000-person viewing at the PNE if the Canucks advance. A far cry from the giant street parties of the past, but still welcome news for hopeful fans.
There's nothing like being a part of thousands and thousands of people in a crowd cheering on the team that you love. And I wouldn't say I'm disappointed. I'm more excited to see where this goes.
A trial run that could lead to bigger parties as these fans try to earn back the city's trust.
Excited!
John Hernandez, CBC News, Vancouver.
Premier David Eby says the BC government's networks have been hit with sophisticated cybersecurity incidents. In a statement, the province says at this time there is no evidence to suggest sensitive information has been compromised. He says they are working with outside agencies to determine the extent of the incidents and safeguard data. BC's Privacy Commissioner has also been informed. Eby confirms some public service employees were asked to change their passwords last week. BC United MLA Renee Merrifield is calling the news alarming.
Whether it's health information, whether it's social insurance numbers, whether it's driver's license numbers, you think about all of the information that's stored within government. This cyber breach could have massive ramifications that are very far-reaching.
So far, the province says there is no information to suggest that this incident is linked to the cyber attack that shut down all London drugstores in Western Canada a couple weeks ago. Well, if you drive in this province, the Premier says you may get some money back. David Eby says most eligible motorists will get a rebate from ICBC thanks to rosier financials at the public insurer. But as Mira Baines explains, the opposition argues the NDP is trying to buy votes ahead of the fall election.
With an election about 6 months away, Premier David Eby says eligible drivers will receive a $110 rebate from the public insurer.
This is the fourth rebate that ICBC has been able to issue since our reforms.
ICBC customers who held a basic insurance policy in February 2024 qualify for the cashback.
We're working as hard as possible to get the rebate out as fast as possible. The first rebates are expected to go out at the end of May, and then we're working every day thereafter to get the rest of the rebates out, and we expect that to be done by the end of July.
Wong says the fastest way to get your rebate is by signing up for direct deposit, or you'll get your money back in the way you pay for insurance, such as a credit card or auto-plan monthly payments. The Premier went after BC United and the leader of the BC Conservatives, who has been gaining political momentum in recent polls.
The proposal from John Rustad is that he would rip up this model of insurance for British Columbia, resulting in a $500 annual insurance increase for British Columbians. Well, they can't afford that.
Back in 2021, ICBC shifted to a no-fault model for providing health coverage. That removed millions of dollars in legal costs from the system and improved ICBC's financial picture. BC Conservative MLA Bruce Banman calls the rebate politicking.
You know, it's shameful. Eby and the NDP are trying to buy your vote with your money while running the largest deficit ever in British Columbia. It's outrageous.
BC United leader Kevin Falcon responded to criticism that the former BC Liberal government hiked ICBC rates when it gained power. Falcon claims the NDP is flashing money around to distract from its drug decriminalization policy.
They've been forced to beg the federal government to bail them out of their reckless, irresponsible decriminalization policy, and the government's only partially done that. And now they're trying to say, here, we're going to give you back a $100 rebate.
Still, Eby says ICBC insurance rates will remain frozen for the next 2 years. The provincial election is set for October. Mira Baines, CBC News, Victoria.
The union representing Blue Bus drivers and mechanics say its members have voted to ratify a 2-year collective agreement, narrowly avoiding a transit strike that would have impacted roughly 18,000 transit users per day.
Changes for the works made in Sundays and stat holidays to improve, again, no split shifts, specific rules of how much breaks we can have during these specific days.
The union says 88% of members voted in favor of the new contract, which includes mandatory 5-minute breaks at the end of every bus trip. Up until now, the union says drivers have been working without recovery time. He says another major issue was long-term disability payouts, which were fully covered by the union and its members. 2 wildfires in the Prince George Fire Centre that have been burning since last year have now been declared out of control, and a new fire is burning in Kamloops. The Noga Creek wildfire is burning across 500 hectares, and the Patriot Creek wildfire is 0.5 hectares. BC Wildfire Service says an incident management team is headed to Fort Nelson to assume command there. Both fires are forecasted to grow over the next few days. Meanwhile, in Kamloops, an out-of-control fire was discovered near Edwards Creek.
The weather update is brought to you by Direct Buy Furnace. To cool and clean the air in your home, call Direct Buy Furnace. Installing Trane, the most reliable heating and cooling brand.
Karis Hogg joins us now with a look at our weather. Now, Karis, before we talk about that, you're going to talk to us a little bit about the fire danger around the province.
Yeah, that's right, Janella. It's pretty warm right now, and dry conditions are moving in, and temperatures are increasing. So taking a look at the BC Fire Danger Rating, this is from the BC Wildfire Service. You can see blue is very low, but red is very high, and that orange as well. So the northeast corner of the province, that is very high danger. And then also there's just this little pocket right here, which is near Kamloops, and that's where that fire was discovered today. So as I said, warm, dry temperatures are moving in. The past 24 hours for the province, very dry, and that's just going to continue as a significant high pressure ridge, the first of the season, is going to be moving into our province. So today's highs, quite warm, here in Vancouver, that just the edge was taken off the air, it just felt different. 19 degrees in Abbotsford and 19 in Hope today, 18 in Fort Nelson. Now looking at tomorrow's highs, creeping up. We're getting 27 in Abbotsford, 24 in Campbell River, 26 in Kamloops, 25 in Osoyoos, warm in Castlegar as well. Friday, even warmer, especially for the central and southern interior of the province. We got 29 in Kelowna, 29 in Osoyoos. Then on Saturday, much of the province in terms of temperature kind of tails off other than the central and southern interior. We've got 30 forecast on Saturday for Osoyoos, 30 in Kelowna, 29 in Castlegar. So quite warm for those locations on Saturday. Taking a look, though, at the 5-day forecast for Metro Vancouver tomorrow, sunny and dry and warm, high of 20 near the water, but it'll feel like 27 degrees further up the valley. And we don't really see cloud until it looks like Monday.
Well, some very nice weather for those getting out this weekend, but of course, some important reminders there as well. Thank you so much, Karis.
You're welcome.
Well, if you're feeling anxious about the warm, dry weather and lack of rain across BC, imagine what it feels like to be a wildfire fighter. Frontline crews are training for another volatile fire season, and the physical and emotional demands are grueling. The CBC's Shelley Joyce has a daughter who is a firefighter with the BC Wildfire Service. Shelley spoke with people about the mental stress those on the front lines face.
My experience in my first few years was really incredible. I got to see a lot. I was working all over the province and worked with some really amazing people. So my first few years were really great.
Alex Lane started fighting wildfires in 2015. The camaraderie, the adrenaline, the necessity of the job was intoxicating to her. She loved it. 4 years later, the fires were not as threatening, and the downtime didn't come as a relief to Alex. In fact, it had the opposite effect.
Things slowed down in 2019, and that's when I found things got a little bit more challenging in terms of my mental health. So when there was that time to kind of reflect and that time to catch up, I found that very hard.
At first, Alex thought that her experiences were unique, and they made her feel weak and fragile. Eventually, she discovered that other firefighters were going through the same experience as well.
Fire seasons are getting longer, and the recovery time for people is getting shorter in between seasons. So I'll get calls from people at this time of year who say that they still feel like they're buzzing from last fire season.
Anna Richards fought fires for 20 years. Today, she's a clinical counselor, running a hotline of sorts, a confidential service for forest firefighters. She says public perception is critical to these workers. They're on social media, and they read what is being said by the general public, and it leads to what she calls moral injury when they feel a public backlash.
There's already this foreboding sense of doom for some of them. On the whole, people who are drawn to this work are people who, carry the burden. They are people who care a great deal about doing a good job.
I'll check in when fire's under control.
That dedication is apparent, even when talking to new recruits and hearing why they signed up for one of the toughest summer jobs in the province.
The dangers of it are real, but I want to be in there helping. I don't want to be on the sideline, and I want to make a difference.
We're stronger than we think. We can just keep going. There's no stopping.
No stopping. An attitude that works well in the woods, but not when the orange helmets are traded in at the end of the season. A reality the BC Wildfire Service says it's now dealing with.
This isn't easy money. This is hard money. This is challenging. These are people that push themselves to the limits, and sometimes they actually don't know where their limits are, and we have to support them and pull them back. We have to be aware of each other and take care of each other.
Greer says that the BC Wildfire Service is focusing on proactive resources for worker mental health, ongoing mental health and resilience training. Alex Lane no longer works on the front lines. She's now working on her master's degree, focused on mental health and firefighters. And she sees a big change in how new recruits are mentally prepared.
I don't have to take this on alone, and I'm not alone in this. And there's also been a change organizationally in the culture and the attitude towards mental health. 10 years ago, it wasn't something that was talked about as much.
Shelley Joyce, CBC News, Kamloops.
Coming up, it's one of BC's most visited villages, but disagreements at City Council are tearing the community apart. Some residents say they're considering moving away. We'll have those details after the break. People in one of BC's smallest, most well-visited communities say they are fed up. For 18 months, the mayor and 4 councillors in Harrison Hot Springs have struggled to work together and govern the village. Many of the council meetings have ended in screaming and ejections. As Chad Pawson reports, some residents are even considering moving because the civic dysfunction.
Harrison Hot Springs, it's what people come here for, to relax in, to soak in hot water. But there is trouble here, an ongoing rift between the village's council.
Today is a sad day for this village. In my opinion, there is a coup.
That's Harrison's troubles at their peak 3 weeks ago, a normal 3-hour council meeting lasting 13 minutes, with the mayor refusing to speak further. Mayor Ed Wood accuses 3 councillors of conspiring against him, voting en bloc to block Wood and Councillor John Allen. Wood campaigned on cleaning house in the village, and while not giving interviews, he says the conflict's taken away any authority he's supposed to have at council and at the village office, describing it as a toxic workplace. After 18 months of this, residents on both sides of council are fed up.
A lot of us are actually looking to move somewhere else because we're horrified. This is husband against wife, neighbor against neighbor, friend against friend. It is crazy. The stress is unbelievable.
Residents want council to address pressing issues, such as how to protect the village from the threat of wildfire. There's only one road leading in and out, with forested hillsides on both sides.
Just get together on this and get things done. You know, there's a lot of people that are starting to move out of Harrison, and I hate to say it, but I think it's a lot to do with council.
Council has a path out of its quagmire. Last year, an advisor was put in place by the province and recommended 7 actions that, if taken, could help council function. They would have politicians and staff understand their roles. 2 of the recommendations were on this week's council agenda, but ended up unpassed and a source of further conflict.
I will remove you.
What was the
I will
ruling?
remove you from this meeting if you continue.
What was the ruling on the point of order?
The ruling was that we continue on.
That's not a ruling on the
That
point
is
of order.
the ruling,
I've called a point of order.
Councillor Vidal, you're ordered removed from this meeting.
I'm not leaving the meeting,
Please
Mayor
remove
Wood.
yourself from this meeting.
I am not leaving.
So, what now? Mayor Ed Wood wants the province to step back in and drop the hammer on the village, but the minister is remaining hands off, expecting instead action on the municipal advisor's recommendation. She also hopes to see a progress report. The village's next election is more than 2 years away, time enough for council to settle its differences and move forward, something residents are still hopeful for. Chad Pawson, CBC News, Harrison Hot Springs.
Here we have a live shot of Harbour Centre. When we return, a maternity shoot like no other. Stay with us. There is plenty of niche photography out there, from boudoir to baby to maternity and beyond. But one opportunity got a shutterbug very excited: a pair of pregnant horses. Take a look.
Hello, you big, beautiful, magical vessel of joy.
And hey, baby. Just in case you were wondering if Tessa is pregnant, yes, it's my friend is in here.
When I was chatting with Tiffany one night, she told me that she had 2 horses that were pregnant, and I've done a lot of human birth photography in my career, and I told her I wanted to do birth photography for her horses. Well, when I got to Tiffany's house, her and her daughter and her husband were making the horses look beautiful by braiding their manes and putting in flowers.
Yeah, well, they're just very special, so they should be honored.
You can't even see to the other side.
It's like really impressive how gigantic they are.
Just in case you were wondering how big Rosie's baby is, it is bigger than this lovely girl.
Like, I can't get how huge they look, and when I take photos of them, I'm like, wow, like, yeah, they, in the pictures that Lorene, they look gigantic, and so I was like, yay!
So we went and we took the horses sort of to a beautiful spot on Tiffany's property and started trying to figure out how to pose pregnant horses. The dress freaked out one of her horses a little bit because it was swishing when she would move and stuff, so one of the horses wasn't too fond of that. The beautiful floral crowns I had made turned into food for the horses, which was something I should have probably expected.
How excited are you to be a horse grandpa?
Very.
But my husband told me this morning that I'm not allowed to bring the babies in our bed.
Sounds like another photo shoot, Tiff.
What a unique idea. That is your late news for this Wednesday. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. For news at any time, head to our website at cbc.ca/BC. Your next local news is on the early edition on CBC Radio 1. That starts tomorrow morning at 5:30. Hope you have a great night.